Hello and welcome to Chess with Simon. I'm Simon. So I'm going through these nightly correspondence games that I'm playing with friends from Cumnor, but also others who've challenged me. So I thought of quite a long sequence here in this game against Nick, which was frankly a little bit dreamy from me, a little bit overambitious. It's very hard to escape from it now. So, I mean, knight e5 is certainly a move that puts some questions to white. I think the answer is white's going to take on h5, but I bet Nick's programmed a line. The real question comes, I think, here when there are some real holes in the white position. So what white does about this? I've looked at some variations. Black's position is dubious, but might not be entirely lost. I can't think of anything else to do. I mean, taking with this pawn, I don't think it's particularly helpful because that pawn might come in handy. So I'm just doing this. I've got no other ideas. Also, it stops the queen coming in. It's quite nice to block the queen out. That's my argument. Yeah. I mean, I'm always taking that, aren't I? But let's not rush it. You know, let's not rush anything. Knight c3 or e3. Is there any difference even? I think now the bishop's gone there. There's no sort of there's no bishop b4 variation. Rogozin, isn't it? It's the Rogozin. So it's a pretty good move, isn't it? I mean, e3 is probably a bit safer. I suppose it's Stuart, so against Stuart, why don't we be safer? We can be safe. We're not going to be sorry. Tom Shepherd. Tom. So Tom's obviously trying to break through on the queen's side. So should we develop our bishop to e6 then? We probably shall, shan't we? Or should we pin the... The problem with pinning the knight is you just feel h3 is coming. h3? Then what? I mean, I don't know this, but I mean... Might even play... I don't think you can play g4, but... Is this hanging? Maybe it's not. What I'm afraid... I suppose what you're afraid of is the thing where takes, and I've not got a centre. I mean, I suppose this is winning a... This might win a piece, probably does. Which we don't want. I mean, does it win a piece? Probably does. So the point is, I suppose after here you'd have to take with the b pawn, which isn't a problem, but we're not really developing. So how about defending this one of these pawns with the bishop? My only problem is with this is this, but maybe we don't care. Maybe we just let white do that. Or maybe we just start taking ourselves, like we just take on b5 and isolate the pawn. Take on c4, just take everything. Yeah, white's, Tom's a good player. I mean, queen a5 and pin the knight. I don't know what to do about this. Not got a clue. It's a really difficult position. This one. Now, I've not looked at this, but do we not just take the knight? He says yes. So my instinct was we take the knight, and then can we not desperado? Why can't we desperado here? Oh, because takes. We take. Black takes. We take. And we're in exchange down. That's why. So all that happens is we take the knight. This is a positional thing more than anything. Takes the bishop, we take, takes, and as they say in the trade, the game goes on. And who's better? Who knows? But white seems to have done okay in the massive sample of 2 games that have been played in this line. So, yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm having to think about it. Everyone's faster than me. Everyone's like, let's get on with this. And I'm like, let me think about it. This is correspondence. That's the whole point. Okay, the good news is I'm not getting crushed on the king's side. The other good news is I'm opening lines on the queen's side. That's all good news. Is this theory? No game found. Well, I'm personally happy. I think black's attacking setup's starting to look more like it's showing its weaknesses rather than attacking, but I think my pawn structure is a bit nicer. Nice pawn structure. Okay. No! This is what happens with the ones I struggle with. Don't we sort of activate the rook here and attack that pawn? Feels alright, doesn't it? Can't move forward. Yeah. This one, look, the knight's gone back, which allows me to take here. We talked about this last time. I think the move I was afraid of, and I'm sure my opponent's been very sporting and not wanting to play this because he might have seen, don't know, maybe didn't see it, but that was the one I was worried about. And then I think I got a take, and then my opponent can say take here, and I think white's doing all right in these lines. Luckily for me, the knight's gone back, so now I think we can take there, and I think we're winning a pawn, which is very welcome because some of these other games are proving a bit scary. We're winning a pawn. Yeah, like that one. This one, John, knight c3, and you know, I don't think you'll have programmed, although I think you'll expect that. Okay, because this keeps fleshing up, it's just meant to be that we do it. What about e6? E6. Locking in our own bishop. Okay. Okay, I'm going to play this, and I've got an idea if white plays h3. I haven't, you might have noticed, I haven't fully thought this through, but I'll play anyway. Here, I'm slightly happy here because I think Endarian. So I think this queen was going to take here, but thought better of it because there's a fork here. What I want to do really is get my bishop on c4 where it can cause a whole world of trouble. But the problem is when you just push, if you just push, then I think this knight's falling. You just take twice. Let's see what happens. I mean, I don't particularly want to play that line. Don't think it's a disaster, but it's, you know, it's a pawn, isn't it? Losing a pawn. How about queen b3, and then we'll try and push in a bit. So that defends, that's extra defense for the knight, right? Queen b3. Come on, I've got to get on with this. Liam goes there, which means I can't take the pawn at the back. Still, getting that knight sort of offside, I think, is definitely a step in the right direction for me. How about should we just put a rook on the open file and attack that back pawn? Has anyone played this before in the history of the world? Queen c7. So the person who played it said, well, let's put the queen on the open file. Pawn c3. a5. Wow, I quite like this. d4. Takes. Pawn takes. Rook ab8. Okay, well, do you know what? I would accept that. Queen here. Liam, it's your go to think of something. This one is Gary, who left a nice message. Thank you, Gary, on the channel. We're still way in book, aren't we? We're still way in book. Queen e2. What? I suppose because that queen's been hit by the knight, it's got to go somewhere. e2 or e3, but it's almost always going to e2. Sorry it's so slow, Gary, but it's theoretically fascinating. which is at least something. And quite different to the sort of positions we've played together historically, or we've looked at together historically. What about a4, a5 and swapping off that horrible... What about swapping off some of these terrible pawns? What about this c5 and burying the bishop forever? You see, this is because I've got a bad sense of humour. The problem is it gives the knight that square, otherwise I'd do it, get these triple pawns with a bishop behind it. It'd be really funny if it took. But the problem is you don't want to give the knight that square. What about f4 and making that protected pass pawn? Oh, go on, I've persuaded myself. That probably needs to be a protected pass pawn. And I can, because I can play e3, I can make sure it sticks. Even after knight here, it's going to stick. Okay, I like this position. Oh, this is still theory, isn't it? This is still Grunfeld theory. Do take with the rook or something. Take the pawn with the rook. Oh, clever. Well, rook takes 1, but there's people playing c4, which feels a little safer. But rook takes 1. So what happens? You play c4, bishop goes here. Then you can't play rook takes. You play queen takes here. Queen takes, bishop takes, knight f4. But what about taking with the bishop? Oh, you can't. Yeah, that's fine. What do we think, everybody? So let's have a look at what rook takes looks like. Just a good move, isn't it? The check's not particularly dangerous. Well, what do I think? Rook takes doesn't look like a bad move, does it? Looks alright to me. We're sound, we're solid. The discovered check doesn't really do anything, so that's alright. Oh! I saw it when Ian did this. So don't I take twice on a1 here and then take the bishop on d5? It's funny because I had a game against Nick in which I won 2 rooks and a bishop for a queen. Looks like history is repeating itself. This won't be in the database. Okay. Oh, I see. It's not my move. That's why I'm not taking the bishop. Silly me. So the point is, so the bishop's got to run then. But where to? Is this check dangerous? Oh, everything's defended. I'm not too worried. I mean, I'm not saying black's winning, but I now believe black to be better. Of course, take the rook. If the knight takes there, you can take it back with the queen, and I think black is winning. So you won't get knight takes there. You know, white's queen is slightly offside, because of course, you know, this rook is loose, undefended, in a strange place. Ian's already taken advantage of that once. So, for instance, what about this? But you know, it's alright, right? It's the only loose thing, and then this bishop's guarding the diagonal. Oh, I suppose, but you got takes here, haven't you? Takes. Oh, you can't really move the rook. You're actually losing that exchange. Grr. Okay, so I suppose what you got to do is here you got to do this, and that's okay. That's okay for now. It's not amazing, but it's okay. Might even castle at some point. Who knows? But what else would I do? I suppose you could snap the knight off. Woo! Wow, we could snap the knight off. That's actually a really good idea. I mean, the problem is, not the problem, but the issue is that maybe that helps white because we do this. It's late here. It's 2 minutes to 12. I'm always doing these things late. Okay, so we've got an extra pawn and we've got a 2 rooks for a queen. So if we could consolidate, we can win. But if we can't consolidate, We won't win, particularly if we lose one of the pieces. So I don't think I'm going to take the knight, because I don't think it's doing anything to... I suppose the question is this hop dangerous? Takes, check. Then do we care about this? I don't. Well, of course not, because the bishop's hanging. I think it's okay. So in reality, the bishop's got to move. And by the time the bishop's moving, then we can play like this. I mean, I suppose the question is, do I take the bishop? Ha! I suppose it's a free bishop, right? Free bishop. Double check. Okay, I think I've seen enough of this. I think this is giving... it doesn't really matter, but this is giving white way too much. No, we're not going to take the bishop. I suppose that's... Ian will have looked at that. Might even be a mating combination. Well, it's not important, we're not going to see it, I'm just going to take the rook. If you take the rooks off, at some point it's going to limit your... Ian will have guessed this. Well, I still think he's guessed it, he just chose not to put it in. I'm sticking to my story. So here, we're going to play Queen D2 against Keith. Running and cycling. Yeah, me too, Keith. Me too. Okay. Queen D2. Queen D2. All good. This... Oh, this is Nigel. You're meant to take on D3 here, aren't you, obviously? You're meant to take on D3. I feel like I'm always putting the fateful decision off. Is this some huge error? We're not losing yet. Knight here. Yeah, it'll be alright. It'll be alright. It's only a game, right? Yeah. We've been here before, so let's just do a check and see if there's any games we've missed. Games. Playing. Ian, blah, blah, blah. It's amazing how quickly we get through them, isn't it? Next. Yep. 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 Oh. This one I haven't... There's some of these I haven't moved in, actually. This one. Muzeka, I think, from Russia. Earth now. Planet Earth. I think it changed from that. Well, Planet Earth feels right. We haven't got to Mars yet. Okay, look, I attack your queen. I know you're a good enough player, I don't need to explain that. I attack your queen. And then the last one is Justin. Got to do Justin. Justin. Okay, if I go back one on the back browser, look. So I've got a decision here. G3 is I know is the move that the computer favours, and it's the main line because I've looked at this with the computer before. I want to play D3, and actually look, it's got better stats, and I want to claim I've got a cunning and subtle plan. Yeah, let's have a change. I mean, D3 can't be a bad move, right? Really making sure you can't play E4. Go on, Justin, think about that. I think that's everyone. Okay, so on the tournament, which says it's 30% complete. Wow. Sicilian defence. These two people. Vekaleg from Hungary. Kadmuk from what looks like Poland. Monaco. E4, C5. Sort of the London system, except the other way round. Is it? Not really. It's sort of like, apparently it's called the Bodler attack. Now e6 is a good move from black. White's going straight for it, the attack on f7, although e6 has blunted that. a6, now white has to be careful here in these structures where instead of the d6 Sicilian or the knight c6 Sicilian, on the e6 Sicilian, there's a chance of something bad happening to white, and we're going to see it now. White develops the knight very sensibly, and now the black pawns, I was on the black side of this in a tournament in Kent about 25-30 years ago, and I trapped a piece. Can you see what piece is going to get trapped? Bishop b3 traps the piece. d3. But take heart, white. You have got good development. You have got chances. I don't think this is over. But yeah, when you see the pawns on e6 and a6 and c5, if your bishop's out there, you must be careful not to get it trapped. And when they do that, you can put it back on e2. e2 is probably the best square. And you can only put it on b3 if you've played c3 or a3 or a4 or something. Otherwise, you've got to be careful of that. Unless there's some supersonic tactic like... I mean, it's just worth looking at whether e5 gets you out of trouble, but I just don't see how it can. Play knight c6, right? Doesn't help. d3 is not a bad idea. I mean, when I look at these games, I never want to give anything away. I mean, everyone can see that white's lost a piece, but also I'd say white, don't give up. And I say to everyone, don't give up. We must never give up. Keep the faith. I hope you're enjoying your chess. I'll see you soon.